Hey, what's up, people? Welcome to another episode of London Boy Podcast, soon to be number one podcast in the UK. It's your host, Vincenzo. I'm joined once again by Joe Quim. How's it going, my friend?
It's going good. It's nice to be on the it's nice to be on the podcast again.
Yeah, and always a pleasure. So, let's not waste any time. So the subject of today is going to be what success really means. So tell me, when you hear a title like that, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I mean, success is so different to each person, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, my definition and someone else's definition of success
completely
is
different. Yeah, yeah,
different people, isn't it? For
exactly.
me, for me, being successful is basically like being mortgage free and owning a nice home,
Hmm.
and maybe having like a decent income coming in where you don't have to do a 9 to 5 job. So
Yeah,
you're basically free to do anything. That's my definition of
yeah.
success.
To some people, success means owning a Ferrari and driving it around your estate.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's the thing, isn't
Yeah,
it? Like, you're not going to be successful if you have unrealistic expectations,
unrealistic
isn't it?
expectations. Yeah. So, today's podcast, I'm gonna break it down into four different subtopics. So, like you just mentioned there, success is different for each person.
Yeah,
Obviously, the social media influence slash element to success, and the need to be realistic, because I feel like many people have unrealistic goals, hence why they don't get anywhere or don't get any results. And
yeah,
we're going to go into the generational gaps, which for me is probably is very interesting, because you judge from the past, don't you, how things have
yeah,
gone.
pretty much.
Cool.
Yeah,
So, and by the way, guys, we're gonna be talking from life experiences and observations, right? So this isn't like scripted business or anything like that. Yeah. All right.
yeah,
Cool. So, back to what you were saying. Success is different to each person.
yeah,
So
yeah.
define success to me.
So success is basically what you find so satisfying in life, isn't it?
Mhm.
That's what success is. Like for me, I'll be satisfied having a decent home, which is mortgage free.
Yeah.
So just having a stable income coming in through the door. That would be my success, and I'll be satisfied with that.
So when you say stable income, like passive income, or you don't mind working and having a mortgage-free house.
To be honest, I don't mind working or I don't mind having like an investment that does the work for me. But either way, I think I would be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, having a passive income and working is quite similar in the
Mm.
way that if you enjoy the work you do, that's as good as a passive income for you, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's the same as getting a passive income, but you're bored at home all day. There's got to
Yeah,
be like
pretty
a middle
much.
ground to it, right?
Yeah, pretty much, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, what doesn't change is that you have to work hard for it either way. So even
Mm.
for a passive income, you have to put in some effort. You can't just put your hands off it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So yes. So I think as long as you're happy with the job you're doing, or if you're not happy with it, get a passive income set up, like maybe a rental property,
Yeah.
and you're getting some decent income from it, and you're happy with your
Mhm.
lifestyle. I think
100%.
most of, yeah, I think the most important part is being satisfied with your lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think
being
that's the
satisfied
key
with your
to,
lifestyle. Yeah.
yeah,
So back to you saying, like, so that's what success means to you. Just having a mortgage-free house and getting a passive income, which basically means like you're on top of your bills. You've got the peace of
yeah,
mind that you're not going to lose your house, and you're in a comfortable situation, right?
yeah, pretty much. You have a safety net. You
Yeah,
can do basically as long as you're out of work or you've done your bits for a passive income. You have the freedom to do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about bills. You
exactly.
can live a comfortable lifestyle that you're happy with, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like, to me, my definition of success is very similar, but
Yeah,
I would like to add as well. Just make sure that your family is being taken care of. Like, you don't have to worry about bills. You don't have to worry
yeah,
about where the next bill is. Not next bill. You don't have to worry about where the next meal is coming from.
yeah,
As long as you've got all your overheads covered and you're living a comfortable
yeah,
life, you're
yeah,
successful.
yeah. Just making sure you're not filled to the eyeballs with loans and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's
No,
key, though.
yeah, like
Like owning
no,
your car rather than getting it financed.
yeah,
Like
like
owning
no
your car,
car
you don't have to pay
finance.
it on loan.
No car finance, no 40-year mortgage, just like,
Yeah.
just living a cushy, comfortable life, right?
Lifestyle. Yeah, that's what at least we're aiming for, at least, isn't it? That's our success for us, isn't it?
Exactly. And one thing I'd like to address is that success for us, it might be different to other people. Like, I'll give a bit of context. Obviously, we grew up in North to Northwest London, in Camden Town to be exact. And obviously, life from there to now is completely different, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, isn't it? And some people might have the wrong impression because when they hear Camden, they think, oh, it's a nice touristic area,
Mm,
it's really lively and stuff like that. But no, there's many different sides of Camden. That's just
yeah,
one
yeah.
side of Camden.
And
The lifestyle we lived in Camden is completely different.
completely different. And one thing I'd like to say, just because like a dingy apartment in Camden costs 500,000, doesn't mean that the majority of people that live in Camden have 500,000
Oh,
to buy an apartment.
yeah, they're not millionaires
Let
by
me
any
just get that
means.
straight right there.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah,
where we grew up, let me just give it a lot of context. Like, there was a lot of drugs, a lot of uh, drug dealing, a lot of gangs. Like, you're not very safe, and it's not a safe
yeah, a lot of
environment.
dysfunctional people. So yeah,
Yeah, like, we literally grew up surrounded by a lot of dysfunctional people. Like, the building I lived in, like, there was like heroin needles on the stairs, fucking piss on the stairs in the lift. Like, and for me, just getting out of that area and moving to the countryside, for me, that's a level of success on its own, you know.
pretty much. That was the same story for me as well. Just moving out of that place was a little, some one major step to my success, isn't it? For
Yeah,
what I'm aiming for.
yeah, yeah. So that just moving out of a shithole for me is success on its own, and the bonus to that is like, my family, they own their house, they own their home,
Yeah,
you know. Like,
yeah,
living where I lived, I always dreamed of living in a house that had a stairs. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Or living somewhere where my parents don't have to pay rent, right?
yeah. So basically, escaping from the apartment lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah, escaping from that sort of rental council lifestyle, right?
So yeah, pretty much.
But
So
yeah, like, not to sort of diss on anyone, but moving out of that situation to where I am now, for me, that's a big success. But a lot of people from where I moved to, they don't really comprehend that.
no, because that's the thing. They have unrealistic expectations of what success is.
Yeah,
For them, success is owning a Lamborghini, isn't it?
yeah,
They'd
yeah,
rather own a £100,000 Lamborghini than own a decent house.
yeah,
That's where unrealistic expectations come into play, isn't it?
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what stops people from becoming successful. It's
Ex-
just that they don't have the right expectations for themselves.
exactly, and that comes down to experience, because we've experienced sort of despair and misery in terms of like quality of life. We
Yeah,
sort of appreciate having a normal life.
yeah.
But
Having a normal life is successful for some people, isn't it? Like us.
mm, mm.
Like having a dysfunctional lifestyle is like really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, but for the people that were sort of born into like a stable lifestyle, not a knock on them, but they haven't seen anything below. They've
Yeah.
only really seen what's above their lifestyle, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that's why these people are tend to be really unsatisfied with their lifestyle, isn't it? They're
Yeah,
not happy with what they have, even though they have a nice house with a driveway, with a car,
mm,
the family owns their homes and everything. They're not happy with their lifestyle
yeah,
because they see that someone in their school has a Lamborghini or someone has a mansion in their house. That's what they want, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. And
So they try to go work towards that unrealistic goal and just set themselves up failure, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
end up being depressed, isn't it?
And the thing to add to that is that when they see people in their surroundings owning fancy cars and all that sort of stuff, and big houses, mansions, and all that, they don't really realize that a lot of that, there's either some sort of finance behind it, or
Yeah,
it's sort of passed down generational wealth, which we'll get into a bit later on.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the key to success is like being realistic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So most of people like they want to be like the next Elon Musk, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, but the thing what people fail to understand is that he was already rich to
He
begin
was
with.
already rich, so that brings us on to the social media aspect. So that you know, like if you're not bloody struggling, not knowing where your meal is coming from, and you've always had it cushy and comfortable, and eat and happy go lucky, you're gonna look at all of these external factors to become successful, and that's where the social media aspect comes in. So you mentioned Elon Musk, because when I hear about all these scams and all these unrealistic things you see online, the first person that comes to my mind is Elon Musk.
Pretty much, is it? But what most people fail to understand is that his dad owned an emerald mine in South Africa.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so basically, that means he was basically very well off rich, isn't it? He
Mhm.
was from a rich family, and it's basically like blood diamond, isn't it?
Yeah, bro, the guy's
So,
rich off blood diamonds to begin with, you know.
yeah, pretty much exploiting people for their own riches, isn't it? That's his family background. That's what he hides from people, and doesn't want people to know.
That's
Like
his
all his
family
other,
background, yeah. And
yeah, that, behind all his stunts and stuff like that. Isn't it?
and like, why I mention that is because what he represents to me is he's the figurehead of this like new age Gen Z generation where people feel like, oh, they're gonna press a button on their Instagram or press
Yeah,
a button on their phone and they're gonna become rich overnight. Like, I really
yeah.
despise that, you know.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the thing. It all stems from people having unrealistic expectations,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
just makes them vulnerable to all these schemes, isn't it?
All this
Because
scheme.
yeah. Because the thing is, everyone wants to be successful. Who doesn't want to be successful?
Mhm.
But the thing is, like, if you don't set yourself realistic expectations, you're gonna get caught up in all these schemes. Like, just go on YouTube. Like, every other ad that you see is like saying, "Oh, let me show you how you're gonna turn rich in 10 seconds," isn't it?
Mhm.
Or this is how you can buy properties where you don't have to put any investments down.
Hmm.
Hey, that's all bullshit. I mean, you would know better than anyone that investing in property requires a lot of capital. You can't just do it just like that.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
capital, a lot of legwork and hard work, man.
yeah, if something sounds too good to be true,
It
it
probably
probably is.
is. Yeah.
That's why, and it's just a scam, isn't it? Because it was that too good to be true. Like people would all be millionaires by now.
Yeah,
Everyone
exactly.
living a comfortable lifestyle.
Oh,
Thing is, like life ain't that easy. Like
oh, life is
you
not
can't
easy.
escape. Like you can't escape from hard work. There's no magic button or magic tech that will make you instantly rich, man.
Yeah,
And then
man.
one of the main ones is like trading as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like all you see all these trading apps saying, "Oh, look, I traded like this much money, and I made this much money from it."
yeah. And the people
Like,
that do the ads, they usually rent a car for the day,
yeah,
and the reality is they're making money off selling courses rather than actually trading. You know.
trading pretty much, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it?
Mm,
That's the whole gimmick. Like they don't do trading themselves; they just sell courses, and
mm,
they know because the thing is, you don't know anything about trading. They don't know anything about trading. He
mm.
does the courses, and you just believe what he says because you
Yeah,
don't know anything about trading.
yeah, yeah. And one thing,
So no one finds out, and he just makes money off you,
yeah,
isn't it?
and
Yes.
one thing I wanna put out there is that obviously my expertise or your expertise are not in trading. Obviously,
Yeah,
but obviously yours are in recruitment, mine's in property. But one thing I do want to
yeah,
say is that a lot of the people that buy into these online sort of schemes, they don't
yeah.
really do the education before they jump into it.
Pretty much. That's what I was actually going to touch on as well
Yeah,
because
yeah.
most people say that doing property is easy, isn't it? You
Mm.
just get a buy-to-let property and rent it out. But
Mhm.
it's not a two-step process. And I think you would know that better than anyone, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot more that goes into renting out property and a lot more problems that come up, isn't
Of
it?
course.
So yeah, that's the thing. And that's the same thing applies to other schemes as well, like trading. It's just not like that, isn't it? You don't
Nope.
just buy it, then sell, and then you make your money. There's a lot more factors that could play in that sort of come into play
There's a
that
lot
you don't know
more
about.
hard work that goes into it, man.
Yeah, that you don't know about, like because you just don't have the experience, isn't it?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Like if you don't know the subject details, then like you're just setting up yourself for failure, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and we're not just knocking trading. We're talking about even when we see people saying, "Oh, buy my property course, you can become a millionaire from this."
Yeah,
Like, no, it's not that simple. And the funny thing is, like, whenever I see property ads, I skip them because it pisses me off because what they're saying has nothing to do with the real life property market.
Yeah, pretty much, isn't it?
Mm.
That's true, isn't it? So yeah, just be aware of all these social media scams
Yeah,
because they just try to entice you because they know you're looking for success, and most people they don't want to put in the hard work, so they exploit that.
they
And they
exploit
just
that. Yeah.
yeah, they basically use that as a means to make you pay them money for
Mm.
these random courses, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because the
man.
thing is, whenever you see these ads, like at no point do they actually tell you how to make money. They
Mhm.
just say like, "Oh, this guy made this much money. That guy hasn't made that much money. If you do my course, you'll be making that much money as well."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there's no methodology, no step-by-step guides or anything like that. So,
Yeah, it's
like,
all a sham, really. And if you do buy into it, they just literally give you general advice, and the thing that they miss out, even if you do buy their course, you need an initial investment to begin with. You need to have money to begin with, you know?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, there's no business you can start without doing an initial investment. Man.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like all these, that's the one that I think that strikes me the most is like property ones where they say, "Oh, you can invest in property without any deposit or initial
Yeah, no,
investment."
they're chatting shit.
Man, man, if that was the case, there wouldn't be so many people trying to get on the property ladder to begin with. If that was the
Yeah, yeah.
case, it's like, yeah, it's just ridiculous.
No, think about it, man. Like, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah, pretty much. Isn't it? That's the moral of the story, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
be careful what you hear online because most of the time it's just bullshit.
And the other thing I want to touch on social media is that people buy into what success looks like rather than what success really is.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they portray success in a different way, isn't it?
Mm.
Because when you go on social media, like the way they portray success is, oh, you own a fancy house in Beverly Hills. Oh, you're driving a Lamborghini down the street.
Yeah,
That's not what success is. Success is what you're satisfied with.
Mm.
Even a poor person in Africa can get success if he's satisfied with his lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it is, man. Like if a poor person in Africa gets a decent meal and a water every day, for them that's a successful lifestyle.
Mate,
That's the thing. Like, you have to see success from your perspective
uh-huh.
and be satisfied with it.
100%. Like, there's some people that that work a 9 to 5. They pay their rent on time. They pay their bills on time. Their family has food on the table, and to them, they're successful. And they don't drive a fancy car. They might drive, I don't know, a 2010 Volkswagen.
Yeah,
And in their eyes, they're successful because they're happy with their life. You know what I mean?
pretty much. I mean, at the end of the day, it all comes down to how satisfied you are with their lifestyle, isn't it?
Mm.
Because the minute you're not satisfied with their lifestyle, that's when you get depressed, isn't it?
Mhm.
That's all there is to it, and that's how you know that you're not working towards being successful.
Mhm.
So that's why, like, when you set yourself a goal in terms of what your success is, make sure it's realistic. Cause
Make it realistic.
Yeah, the more success you're looking for, the harder you have to work for.
Yeah,
So you have
yeah,
to be realistic. Like, how much effort are you actually going to be willing to put in,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
to get to that success? Like, if you're setting yourself up to be a millionaire, like owning a big mansion, you best believe you got to work your ass off for that. Isn't
Yeah, yeah. So now that we're
it? Not
in,
only that, like, you have to come from a rich background and
Uh-huh.
have those opportunities, access to networks and knowledge and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Isn't it? So you
so-
can take risks and gambles.
so
But
that,
if you're a poor person trying to be a millionaire, you don't have a ghost of a chance. Man.
yeah, man. So that ties
Unless you're like
in
really talented. So,
exactly,
yeah.
man. That ties in nicely to the being realistic section of it. So
Yeah, pretty much.
not to knock on anybody, but I had a talk with this girl, and she was yeah, she's been on this channel before. I'm not going to say no names, but when I was talking about like her business, I brought up the question about 3 times. I said, okay, but at what point do you quit your 9 to 5 to go into business full time? And
Yeah.
she wouldn't give me a straight answer. Like, if you ask anyone, they'll say, oh, work your 9 to 5, build your savings, get your capital, and then invest in your business. And then when your business makes more money than your 9 to 5, that's when you quit your 9 to 5.
Pretty much, because normally you wouldn't leave your 9 to 5 job till you know you're getting an income from
Yeah,
the business, isn't it?
But when I was asking,
Yeah,
But-
carry on.
yeah, so when I was asking this person, like, she wouldn't give me a straight answer. She just said, oh, you just get started. You just get started. You know?
Yeah, that's the difference, isn't it? She's probably never done a proper 9 to 5 job before, isn't it?
Mm.
If I was betting, then I would say she's already coming off from a well-off family, isn't it?
Yeah, and
For someone like that, it's easy to start a business. But for normal people like us, it's not that easy, isn't it? We don't have any safety nets to take those type of gambles, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
If we take those type of gambles, we wouldn't be able to afford money to put food on our family's table.
Yeah. In other words, she probably got the initial investment from her family, probably lives at home, and doesn't need to really worry about bills and putting food on the table.
Yeah, pretty much. That's where that point comes in, isn't it? You need to know your social and economic background, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if she can afford to do that, that's good on her, isn't it? But not everyone can do that, because like if you're from a rich family, like you get the opportunities, you get the access to networks and knowledge to start a business. Like you can afford to take risks because you have a safety net in place, isn't it?
Exactly.
Like those are not the things that a normal, like average poor person gets, isn't it? Like someone who does your 9 to 5 job, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
that's why you need to like really take a realistic approach in terms of what is your idea of success, and you have to look at your background as well. When you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because if you're not rich, you ain't going to be a millionaire when it comes to your success story, isn't it? And that's why you need to have a grounded approach, really, in terms of what your success looks like.
Yeah, man.
Just take us as an example, isn't it? We just came, we were not from the wealthiest background, are we?
No, we're just from a normal standard family, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, everyone in our family does the 9 to 5 job to make a living, isn't it?
Exactly.
So if we can't afford to take those risky jumps, isn't it, to start a business and do whatever we want.
Yeah.
If for someone like if the business doesn't work out, who's going to be paying the bills? It's going to be your family, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like if they can't afford to do it, that's going to ruin your whole family relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, man. That's like.
So we don't exactly have the safety net to take those risks.
Yeah, we have to make sure that our safety net is already solid before we jump into something like that, you know.
Yeah, because that's the thing, isn't it? Because we can't take the risk. But normally, the higher the risk, the bigger the rewards are, isn't it? Because you can't take the high risks, you can't get access to the big rewards, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why we set our goals. So we set our success to be realistic.
To be in reach, like arm's reach, sort of thing.
Yeah. So something that we can get doing our 9 to 5 grind, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. You know, I'm doing my 9 to 5 grind, saving up money so I can buy a home, isn't it?
Yeah.
And be mortgage free as soon as possible. That's the realistic goal that I'm going towards.
Yeah.
I'll be happy if I manage to reach that. That's my satisfaction, isn't it? That's my success.
That's like similar to my goal. Like I'm setting up a realistic timeline of the money I make versus how much I save, versus how long it will take me to put on a deposit for a buy-to-let property, you know. But I'm not saying, this time next year I'm gonna save £500,000 and I'm gonna buy, you know what I mean, bruv? Like, nah, man, I'm gonna keep it realistic, bruv. Keep it simple, you know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much. Mate, if you're from a rich background, if you can afford to do that, that's good on you, isn't it? If you have the networks to take out like a safe loans and stuff like that to start your business, and you can afford to stay at home for 6 months without getting paid, and work on a business and stuff like that, that's good for you, isn't it? That's just means that you're from a different social background, isn't it? Social and financial background. So you can afford to take the risk to aim a little bit higher than other people, isn't it?
Yeah, man. And just...
but
and
the point is, like, make sure your goals are realistic, isn't it?
Make sure your goals are...
Success is different.
Yeah, man. And for me right now, just looking back at secondary school, when I'd go to school with like fucking £2 for lunch, right?
Yeah.
For me now, I can pretty much buy what I want within reason, and I'm not starving for any meals. So for me already, I feel successful in that aspect. But I'm just aiming for the more financial security. You know what I mean? Because I'm being realistic.
Because you never really think about it, isn't it? Even back in the day, for me, my budget for a school meal was £1.60, isn't it? Your rice, chicken, steak, and a tomato sauce.
Hey, I remember I want the chicken and the rice and the tomato sauce.
That was like the everyday thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, some people, they could afford to take the double chicken drumstick, but me, I could only afford one.
One chicken drumstick.
Yeah. But but now, mate, I spend 7-8 quid on a meal when I go to the office.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I can afford to do that, but and I see that as a success, isn't it?
yeah, exactly.
Like, I managed to move on from a £2 bill to a £7 bill. Like.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah, it might seem minor, but that's a big change for some people, man.
Yeah, people like us, yeah, that's a big
Yeah,
change.
like, you can finally afford to eat what you want to eat, isn't it? Like, that's a
Yeah,
big change.
but the people that don't see it realistically, let's say have had it on a silver platter, to
Yeah,
them, no, you've got to eat at the restaurant. That's £100 a meal type of thing, and then that's successful to them.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, if you can afford it,
Yeah.
why not? But if you think about where you want to be in life, like, yeah, like, is it really worth it? Buying £100 meal? You gotta tap out at the toilet the next
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
anyways, isn't it? It's like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the main point is, like, be realistic with what you want to get in life, isn't it? And what your success is, and just work towards that.
Yeah,
And
man.
yeah, if you're rich, yeah, you can aim a bit higher, but never aim for more than what you can actually grab.
Sort
Because
of.
that's when you set up yourself for failure, isn't it?
So
Then, like, for example, if I try to go say, oh, I want to spend all the money I saved to buy a Lamborghini, I'm just saying myself a failure.
yeah,
I might be able to buy the Lamborghini. I
yeah,
don't think I'll be able to pay the insurance for it.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
the MOT or anything like that. I'll keep it around.
yeah,
So yeah, that's the thing, man. You just gonna end up wasting your money. The car is gonna
yeah.
depreciate in value, and you're still gonna be living in your own sort of shitty apartment, isn't it? Like you wouldn't be able to get the little house that you dreamed about. So,
No, you'll just be driving a car that it's gonna cost you £20 to drive up the road, type of thing.
yeah, pretty much. Is you wouldn't be able to afford to put in the petrol. Before long, you'll end up selling it.
Yeah, yeah.
So what happened to all the years of savings? Just gone down the drain.
It's gone down the drain. But this whole realistic thing, are you saying like it's bad to have dreams then?
I mean, it's good to have dreams, but you have to make sure they're attainable.
Yeah, yeah,
Like for example, if you're living a normal life and you think, "Yep, I want to be the next Elon Musk," you're gonna be depressed, mate. Because be truthful to yourself. You're
yeah.
not gonna be the next Elon Musk, are you?
So now I want to go into the topic of generational wealth.
Yeah,
So for example, you know that our grandparents' generation, obviously for them, the average three-bedroom house was like 40k,
yeah,
and let's say the standard salary was 20k. So in reality, if they saved for 3 years, they could pretty much buy the house cash.
yeah, pretty much.
And then our parents' generation, the average house was 100k, and even on a salary of 20k, they could still get a loan from the bank to buy it.
Yeah,
And now our generation, which is like the Gen Z generation, everything's expensive. The standard average house, 3 bedroom, is about 400k. And
pretty much. It's just that life is just getting harder and harder, isn't it? Because now the difference between like wages and houses, like before it was like a 1-to-5 ratio, your salary is 20k, and your house is now 100k, isn't it?
yep,
So with reasonable effort and some years of like effort and commitment, you can afford to buy outright.
exactly.
Nowadays, like the difference between your wages and the house price is like 1 to 15, isn't
It's ridiculous.
it? So you basically have to work 20, 30 years just to be able to afford to buy the house, isn't it?
100%. And the funny thing as well, like our age, due to discovery of knowledge and technology, if we wanted to, we could scale our salaries up to 50k or even more. But even 50 to 100k salary is still not enough in certain cases.
It's still not enough, is it? Because taxes going up higher, half your salary is going to a student loan and other things like that, and like you just can't afford it, isn't it? Even if you have a bigger salary, it's still just too expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's bloody expensive. So it just makes you think that in terms of work ethic and values, our grandparents' generation, they probably had it harder as well, because even though things were cheaper back then, the quality of life was lower.
Yeah,
But like they worked hard and they managed to purchase things. And then our parents' generation had it a bit easier, but they still sort of worked hard and managed to get their life stable. But I feel like now we have it easier, more comfortable, but the price has gone up.
Yeah.
But the thing is, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is that we just don't work hard enough, isn't it?
yeah, like
I feel like I've got too entitled, isn't it?
yeah, like our generation is way too entitled. They believe in the magic pill. They think, oh yeah, I'm smart. I can press a button on my phone and I'll become rich overnight. You know?
Yeah, just going back to a previous point, like people are they get too caught up in all the social media garbage, isn't it? And that clicking one button on their software is going to make them money.
Yeah,
It's just all a scam, isn't it? At the end of the day, you can't escape the hard reality that you have to work hard.
yeah. The hard reality is you've got to, if you really want it, you're gonna work hard, put your full commitment and your full energy into it, and then it will work out for you. You know?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the funny thing is, like, our generation, they don't want to do, like, manual labor jobs or do long hours.
Yeah,
The thing is, like, you have to put in the commitment because, as Lee mentioned earlier, like, life is just going to get harder as time goes by. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
man. And it's funny you mentioned that.
More expensive, and like, look at the environment we're in. Like, look at all the inflation, like, house prices going up, energy prices going up, living standards going up. If you're not working hard enough, mate, you're gonna get left behind.
Yeah, and funny you said, yeah, people in our generation don't want to do manual labor. Because, like,
Yeah.
our grandparents' generation, that was like the steel mill generation where, you know, they just come to the country and they were worked in the factories and, you know, warehouses, and they didn't have a choice. They didn't have the right to be like, oh, I'm not doing that job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, they didn't have an option, is there?
They didn't have an
Like,
option.
you have to do the job. You have to do the job you have to do.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you couldn't just pick and choose. Yeah, I don't want to do this manual labor job. I want to do the paperwork stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Like, they didn't have a choice back then.
And then
Get it.
And then our parents' generation, if they were fortunate enough with the right education, maybe they could become, I don't know, accountants, bankers, and all that. But they still had to sort of, you know, struggle to sort of get to somewhere successful, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the problem at the moment is that this generation is too dependent on the old generation, isn't it?
Yeah, too dependent on the old generation. And our.
Because, because they use this excuse as if, oh, houses are so expensive, no matter how much money we earn. If you even earn 100k, it still won't be enough to buy the house.
Yeah,
So I'm just going to sit at home, do nothing all day, and just let my parents deal with the issues, isn't it?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the mentality they have, isn't it? They don't want to put in the effort to grow what the wealth they already have further. That's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah, too bloody lazy and entitled. It's like, how have we got the biggest like earning capacity and the biggest amount of knowledge, access to all this knowledge and information, but we don't want to do anything with it, you know?
Pretty much, isn't it? That's the thing that, like, I feel like there's no hope in this generation, is there?
No.
Like, it kind of feels bad, isn't it? Like, it's too dependent on other generations to help them with.
Yeah. And we're lost in technology, man. What's meant to be there to help us is sort of destroying us, you know?
Yeah, pretty much, isn't it? That's why I don't have any social media accounts and stuff like that. Because the thing is, it just brainwashes you, doesn't it? Like, literally. Like, every time you go to social media, you see someone say, oh, look, I got 10,000 followers. I went on a ski trip here and there, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Not everyone can afford to do that. You see that sort of stuff and you get depressed, isn't it? Because you can't afford to do it.
Mm.
It's like, you just end up being miserable. So, yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's like social media should be a tool for business, not a tool for personally flexing on other people or like going through it, wasting your time and getting depressed. Looking at all
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah, pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
So yeah.
So, like, what I want to say, and even if you do have generational wealth, don't just be content and satisfied. Like, try and push it to the next level, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. Just don't be content. But you have to look after your kids and the kids that are going to come along as well.
Yeah, just because you're.
Yeah, just because you're content with it, like, doesn't mean that the next isn't be enough for the future generations as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so, like.
You got to build on this.
So, like, if your grandparents and your parents took care of you, make sure you take care of your children and grandchildren, you know?
Yeah, pretty much, isn't it?
Like,
Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to grow your wealth, isn't it?
like, if say your parents left you 100k, it's your job to turn that into 1 million. If you leave your children 1 million, it's their job to turn that into 2 million.
Yeah, pretty much. Like that's how it should be. Like your wealth needs to grow. Because the thing is, if you don't do anything, the wealth's just going to disappear, isn't it?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
that hard work is just going to be squandered that your grandparents and parents put in.
Mhm.
And that's the last thing you want to do. They've spent their entire life to get you to this point, isn't it?
Yeah,
So they
man.
have it easy. So it's your duty to make sure that this gets even easier for the generation after you as well, isn't it?
Exactly, and it just goes to show as well, like a lot of self-made millionaires, they're still working, you know.
Yeah, pretty much. They still do the 7 days a week and stuff, isn't it?
Hmm.
And so here I could tell you just doing 3 days a week, isn't it?
Yeah, doing fucking 2 days, 3 days, just part-time in general, man. What are you looking to get out of it?
Yeah, just because they have generation wealth to fall back on, isn't it? So they don't want to grow any wealth themselves, isn't it?
Yeah, they're too comfortable, too content with what they've got, you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the thing is that, and the flip side to that, the people that are too content because of generational wealth, the only progress that they see in their eyes is the social media millionaire result. You know, I'm gonna press a button, I'm gonna be a millionaire overnight.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? But that's the thing. You have to wake up to reality, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's what you just see on a bunch of this piece of screen, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
That's not really, you don't know the story behind the screen, isn't it?
Yeah, and how I see it now that I'm sort of more grounded with reality is that if I have £1,000, I'm gonna turn it into 2,000 and 4,000 and 5,000. Then you turn it into 10,000, and then the next is 15, then 20,000, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
But the people that have had it easy from level zero, from ground zero, they don't have the step by step. Oh, I'm gonna make 1,000 and multiply that and multiply that. Nah, they want. Oh, I'm gonna jump straight to 100k. I'm gonna jump straight to 500,000. You know.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, and here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to put all my money into a trading account and get it all done automatically with a click of a button.
Yeah, yeah.
You're only going to find out that you just wanted all your wealth
Oh.
with hard work.
Oh, I'm gonna start a business tomorrow. I'm gonna start a business tomorrow. This time next year, I'm gonna be a millionaire. No, it don't work that way. You know.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Literally. 2 years would go by and you wouldn't have made a single cent, isn't it, if you're not putting that in?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's just a harsh reality, but you know, like, what would you rather? Someone tell you a harsh truth, or let you live and waste your time away in delusion? You know.
Yeah, pretty much, isn't it? You better wake up to reality, isn't it, if you want to get to where you are.
Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it? That's the reality to success, isn't it?
Mm.
Like, if you want to be successful, like, you gotta work hard for it. You gotta be realistic with the goals you have.
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
don't need to depend on other people, but you need to willing to be put in there.
yeah, man. So if you're with a generational thing, if your grandparents had it fucking hard, and let's say purchasing a house was 10 times more cheaper than it is now, then that means you got to work 10 times harder than they worked, you know?
Yeah, pretty much to make up for it, isn't it?
Mm.
You can't be slacking off working 3 days a week because you can afford to do so, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And also, people got to understand, like, if your parents and grandparents sacrifice for you to get to where you are now, to live a comfortable life, like, you're doing them a disservice and a shame by not taking it to the next level.
Yeah, by doing the same thing as well, isn't it? Because everyone has a responsibility to take a family up a little bit further after.
Yeah. Mate, what would you do, like, if you in this lifetime you work your ass off, you become a millionaire, and then you give that to your children, and then when you're like 70, 80 years old, and your child, or you find out you have a grandchild that's just bumming it around, like, wouldn't it hurt you, bruv?
Yeah, it would hurt me, isn't it? All the hard work I put in, all the sacrifices I made, and for what? For it to just for other people to enjoy it. It's like, I'll be a bit high.
That's what I'm saying, like.
I want myself wealth to grow and further, isn't it? That these opportunities are provided for them, the safety that are provided for them to take risks and grow the wealth even further, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
That's what effort, isn't it? You don't put in the effort for yourself. You put in the effort for the future as well.
For the future, and also,
Yeah.
Like the last thing I want to touch with this whole generational wealth thing is that the kids that are benefiting off generational wealth, and they've sort of had it on a silver platter.
Yeah.
For them, like, yeah, I just happen to live in a £500,000 house. Things just happen to be good. Nothing just happens, bruv.
Yeah. People worked hard to get you to that position. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.